technology to you.
Hello everybody, welcome to the stream. Kuno no Oni, it's good to see you. Hi! I'm Bogus Meat Factory. Hi folks. Tonight, we were supposed to be doing some Bogus Wrestling Federation tonight. This week has been brutal. It's been an incredibly stressful, incredibly, just wild week of activity and things to do. And so I'm just like, you know what? I want to chill. I want to unwind. I don't even know this weekend's streams are going to happen or not. It has been so just a lot of stuff has been going on. Nothing bad, nothing serious. Just stressful. I want to iterate. Like, just hadn't having a lot of free time, a lot of projects, and a lot of things have been backing up because of just life events and things going on. Nothing serious. We're fine. But so I'm gonna just do a little bit of playing some games, a little stress relief, right? Just chilling. Yeah, and what better way to do that than to do a little bit of grinding and some MMOs? I mean, it's like low key relaxation tonight. Talk about some things. Talk about some projects and things that I've been working on, because it's a lot. It is absolutely a lot. And see how that stuff's going. All of a sudden, I got hit with a bunch of stuff, like, just in my brain, and trying to organize it all, and so that I can get it at least prioritized and tackled. It's really difficult as of late, because I'm just getting older. Let's play some games, though. I'm glad you're doing well so far, Kuno no Oni. I hope that it can that continues. Bob, how you doing? You doing all right, buddy? I think he's doing all right. So let's go. Let's play some games. Boom! Oh my gosh, that's really big. What the heck happened? Bam. Okay, good. All right, let's get to playing some games. So where we last left off in Earth and Beyond, we had done some quests. We had made an incredibly long journey. Audio Eric, it's so good to see you. Hello. How are you, my friend? I hope you're doing well. We made an incredibly long journey that took us through Progen Space. That's another character race. And all the way, it was a really long and arduous journey that took us a long time to get ourselves access to this other maelstrom in space to do research on. And in that process, we were getting hacked by these machines, and we had to identify the hacker, the thing that was doing the hacking, put the stop to it, so that we could continue our research of the maelstrom itself. And in that process, we met some new people, some other players, and things like this that were able to help us out, and that gave us some new equipment and gear that make things a little easier. So that was helpful. Audio Eric says they're doing well, plowing through weekly to-do lists. Oh man, Audio Eric, I'm literally the complete antithesis of that situation. A lot of things on my to-do lists, which I couldn't get done. My youngest was sick. She's just got a really bad cold. She's fine. But it's just been very time intensive, and so my lack of sleep has just heavily affected my mental state. Just feeling down, just low self-esteem and things like this, because it's just lack of sleep. I got a really long nap today with her. We may have slept for 2 hours. Because she wasn't feeling well, and she was tired, and I was very tired. And then I felt a lot better after that nap. It was very nice. It was very pleasant. So we'll see how that continues. We'll see. But yeah, I've been doing a whole bunch of stuff, just working on a lot. For those that don't know, I actually have moved some things around so that the stream archives are going to be going to a different channel on YouTube than the Bogus Meat Factory one, because I'm actually going to be starting to do some projects on that stuff. which has also been a major source of like just melancholy. One of the big things that I've wanted to do is essentially kind of chronicle my whole like life with video games. You know, starting at 2 years old, I have so much. I have, and so I've been chronicling all that information down on paper and organizing this stuff. You know, we're talking about my time with the Atari 2600, my arcade life, the Apple II GS, and talking about these games that really kind of shaped me or influenced me as a person, and wanting to do like a video series of this and to talk about it, because I think it's really one, it's very personal for me, and I'm typically a very, you may not know this, I'm typically a very like, private person. I don't talk about my life in the past as very much, so I wanted to do this because one, I think about it often, and it's been a lifetime like goal for me to want to do, and two, it was just so I got hit with major melancholy doing this because I realized that I don't have access to any pictures of me as a kid, and like no family pictures or anything like this. So that kind of sucks when you realize you don't have access to your childhood, you just have your memories. And so I want to be doing that stuff on my main YouTube channel, as well as doing some stuff on MUDs, talking about MUDs and old MMOs. Like those are some big projects that I want to work on at some point, and I'm just making some progress of laying down the groundwork for that. A lot of this stuff is like things that are in the planning stage that won't get into effect until probably the fall of this year. I really started to work on that stuff because still my my youngest is in preschool, just 2 days a week for a couple hours, and we'll be starting another era of preschool where she'll be there a little longer and I'll have a little more free time to be able to do some stuff. I can't wait for the day when she goes to school full time. I really can't. I will get so many creative things done. I'll be so happy to be able to get that stuff done. Alright, let's see here. Sakura's not here yet, but they will be. Let me put a message in the Discord just to kind of tee her off, let her know that I am on, because she wants to play with me, I think, and I don't know if she's going to be able to or not because of because yeah, I think that we need more personal stories in video games. VGM Journey. Who do you want to have receive a compliment, VGM Journey? It can be you. It could be Audio Eric. It could be Kunononi. It could be me. It could be anybody. Who would you like it to be to? It could be to Bob. It could be to the game. The world is your oyster. How are you this evening, by the way? I hope you're doing well. Overall, okay, so we've got a couple things. We have two major quests. The second one, the radiation testing, we're not necessarily going to do right now because that one's a little bit deeper at the end. But probably the Maelstrom's a big one that I want to do with Sakura, and the other one we're going to do is go to Jupiter and talk to Council Ujeda so that we can get an upgrade. Mike, it's good to see you. I hope you're doing well, Mike. So let's head to Jupiter first while we wait for Sakura to come in. Mike, I don't know if you heard me just talk a second ago. I've been working really hard on laying down the foundation of doing a video series where we talk about, like, my personal journey through video games. Because I think that that's just really interesting. I think that we need to have more of that in the world. Having people share their personal stories about video games and what they mean to them and how it impacted them. I found that stuff to be incredibly interesting. I think it's something that we don't get very much of. And I would love to see that happen with more people and get to share their stories. So I was talking about laying down the groundwork of talking about my own personal stories through life, because I have so many. Like, I legitimately, I look back at, my time with like the Atari 2600 and how that shaped me as a kid, and how that really informed what video games were for me, and that carries over to pretty much everything now. As well as my life as an arcade kid, and that environment and that culture during the time of where all the way up to the point where arcades virtually died. I was there for a lot of those eras, from the mid 80s, the early 90s, and that sort of stuff, and seeing like the rise of fighting games taking predominance in arcades, the changeover to like beat 'em ups and that sort of thing. It's really interesting to really watch, and stories about those things. And not just like, oh, this is what arcades were like back then, but like to talk about like the moment when I was like 12 years old and this like 18-year-old and his girlfriend walk up to me to challenge me, this guy's 12 and his girlfriend, on Tekken 2, and I was played as the King of Roo, because I don't like Tekken, but I was playing it because it was a quarter, and how I walloped him, and he was so mad, and he put down about $1.50 trying to beat me, and he complained, and he was so upset, and his girlfriend was laughing, and he like ran off. It was very entertaining. Sakura, you're here. But to talk about this stuff, but it was very melancholy writing this stuff down and organizing like my history in video games and what they meant for me. And because I don't have any pictures of my childhood, like I don't have any, not a single one. I have stuff from my senior year in high school that may have come from my wife, and that's about it.
Docking sequence initiated.
No worries, Sakura, no worries. I am here when you're ready. I'm just getting another quest going here, starting up the big like solo one in case you weren't able to make it. But we'll go explore the Maelstrom. There's a quest to do that, which we're gonna do. And anyway, so yeah, talking about moving all of my all the archives, future archives of the stream over to a different channel to make way for that, but also doing a lot of talk about MUDs, Mike. MUDs. Like, there's gonna be some changes, some major changes on some things. So it's gonna be interesting, because I want to get stories from folks and their experiences with MUDs and compile all of that stuff into little like interviews with people and sharing experiences that I've had, and also to play those MUDs and to see if they are how they are, how the community is there, and highlighting that stuff. And do the same for MMOs. I think just MMOs in general. I think that's really important. It's a genre that people don't look at, people don't think about. MUDs, not talked about in the slightest. You don't have anybody talking about MUDs, and I think that you should. Alright, let's get into the game. You're making good progress, young one. I'm sure by now you have explored much, defeated many, profited greatly, and have much experience in the universe. If not, there's always room to do so in the future, but now it is time for the Genkai to help you improve. Before I send you to receive your hull upgrade, I want to inform you of a mission opportunity. The Genkai need your help to recover a lost artifact taken by the Progen dog soldiers. The mission is tedious, but worth it if you're interested. If not, go ahead and receive your hull upgrade. You will be able to acquire this bonus mission after you complete your hull upgrade, so pick it up now if you want to do the mission later. The bonus mission is not forfeitable, and it is quite long, so it may be a difficult decision if whether or not you want to do it. Please take a moment to think. Now then, if you want to take the Genkai Advancement bonus mission, do so now unless you already have the mission. If you have the mission, or do not want to take the mission, we'll continue. To get the mission, talk to Master Sefti on the same station. She may want you to meditate. That is not part of your bonus mission. Okay. Mike says, I think a lot about how the Video Game History Foundation talks about how games preservation also means capturing the context games were released in, and not just like the game files. Exactly. Mike, I think that context is incredibly important, and having a good friend like Nick in my life, being an archaeobotanist, right? that has helped me, or further entrenched my viewpoint that context is incredibly vital and important in understanding these things. And because him being an archaeobotanist, it's not about looking at treasures. It's really about seeds, grains, these sorts of things, because it's really important. It says so much about what people eat and the average person and what they eat. And it gives you so much context about the day-to-day living of a person, especially in the ancient, times. That's so helpful. And for me, I think that that's very important for video games to have this contextual information, what that world was like, what it meant for those people, and on understanding, because of the way that MMOs are so malleable, how much they change over time. It's important to have context to those various points of change, because I don't think we get that enough. A lot of times, a lot of people will kind of gloss over that, like, oh, when this game changed, people were mad. When this expansion hit, people didn't like it. But they don't really talk about, like, what was going on. What was going on to cause those changes? What was going on in people's heads? What was happening in the game when those changes happened? Those things I think are far more important than, oh, this game changed combat mechanics and it made it not fun. It's like, but let's talk about people. They're far more interesting. These stories are also far more intimate and far more fascinating. I think that learning about people and how games affect people is so important. And we don't get that. We don't. Like, at all. And people love to just talk about the game and not talk about the people who experience those games. And it's hard to do. It's because it's challenging. It's incredibly challenging. Because I think that one of the major obstacles is that society hasn't really accepted that it's an art yet. Absolutely, Audio Eric. It's also a major challenge because for a lot of people, we forget, right? We move on, and our memories can be very not right. We misremember things. We just push it in the back of our heads. But also, people have a difficult time having that emotional connection, So for them, a lot of times when they play these games, they're like, yeah, it was fun. They don't have a lot of memories. They don't have a lot of specifics about it, because to them, it's just a game. It was just I played it, I consumed it, I finished it, I played something else. MMOs are a little different than that. It's a lot easier to talk about something with MMOs, because for a lot of times people had, like, connections, familial connections, these things that guilds that they played with, these things that became these bonds that far exceeded just the normal gameplay experience for a lot of people. It's a little different that, if I were to, like, tell me your story about Sonic the Hedgehog, is very different. Oh, Sonic's not the best example because there's tons of a huge Sonic fandom, but, like, hey, tell me about your experiences with Panzer Dragoon. A great game, right? But not a huge community that has sprung up around it. Like the Dark Souls community is a big thing. When you say, tell me about Dark Souls, there's a lot of people who have a lot of experiences and a lot of stories to tell about how that game had affected them. Other games like Undertale, these sorts of things, right? That were major cultural zeitgeists that shaped the games industry. But it's a very different type of story than what MMOs do, because MMOs are very much about your bonds with other people. It's not just about how you interact with the game, it's how you interact with others. And that's so interesting. It's a major fascination, and I want to capture that. I have to. I'm compelled to. So, yeah, we'll see. Sorry. So I'm ready to continue without the push. I am not ready. Okay. Yeah, because I have my mission thing is full, I think, right now. Excellent. Head to the Perrin's shipyard with 10,000 credits, and the engineer will upgrade your ship and advance your rank. Okay, I can do that.
New mission received.
Okay, so we'll talk to Oh, hold on. How many missions? I can have more than one mission. Yeah, let's talk to Master Sefti then and get that mission. I'm glad you're interested in helping the Gen Qua. I'll make sure you're rewarded in the future efforts. What will my rewards be? You'll find out, Hopeborg. Now then, your first assignment is to get your hull upgrade. It'll help you help us, so take care of that immediately. Councilor Ujeta will aid you with that. After that, Councilor Ujeta told me to send you to Fenris Prime Observatory. They should have some documents for you. The documents are fascinating Terran reports about the Shinwa, so do not lose them, or I and other historians will castigate you. Got it? You scare me sometimes. I know I do, and it sure makes my job more fun. Now get going.
New mission received.
Okay. Mike says, the newest episode of Retronauts about the British game series Disney did a great job explaining the context of the UK computer game scene and why those games are so weird. Mike, that's one of those things also, that there's the game scenes for video games in general is typically more interesting the earlier you go back, you know? Because at that point, the novelty of video games and the communities that sprung up around it are more, I wouldn't necessarily say diehard, but there's more of a story behind it, you know? Because at that point, it's all still very new, it's still fresh, and it's people still trying to figure things out. And when you get into the 90s, people started to figure it out. What becomes really interesting in the 90s, that I find to be far more interesting, is talking about the games themselves, because they are just designed very strangely and differently. But also advertising. Game magazines in the 90s are incredibly fascinating. Those are the real core of the cultural snapshot of video games in the 90s. Whereas in the 80s, that's not the case. In the 2000s, it's become archaic, right? And that's when online games become really interesting. The internet, those sorts of things start to take a major priority. And with the 80s, it's just talking to people and about the communities and like these small groups, the Apple II groups, you know, and then the ZX Spectrum people, the Commodore 64, and like these platform-oriented groups, and like those people who had that rare access to what eventually becomes the internet in those times, in the 80s. It's wild. It's so interesting. It's so interesting. Those are when you get the most interesting, because a lot of people there very much hold dearly to their memories. When you talk about the stuff in like the 80s, around, especially on the computer scene of things, you actually you tap into that market of people. And I've got to find that. I want to talk to those people. So, alright, what am I doing? I don't even know right now. Alright, receive my second hull upgrade. Okay. So, I have to go to... hold on. Rank 2 upgrade. That's a bonus, okay. So, head to Parent Shipyard in Kalasa. Okay, I'll go there and get my hull upgrade. One thing that comes up in that episode is that the UK Spectrum scene felt very indie. It was always just 1 to 2 people making weird, cheap games, and it reminds me of modern indie games on itch. Mike, I was thinking about this recently while watching the Xbox showcase that happened today, which I thought was really good. Was fascinating because I was looking at a lot of these games that they were coming out, and I was like, these feel like Dreamcast games. These feel like game design in the late 90s, early 2000s now, on those bigger indie title games. They're very strange, they're very niche, they're very oddly specific, you know? And they're the type of games that you would kind of see popping up on the Dreamcast and the like PlayStation 2 during that time. That was very fascinating. And then you go this other layer of indie that is the 1980s. It's what we experience on itch. A lot of stuff on itch.io is like 1980s create for the sake of creation. You know? people are just making stuff. They have access to the tools. They aren't looking to make a fortune. They're making to just make. Because they, you know, either they have something to say, it doesn't matter, you know? And so the indie scene is now, it's got like 3 layers to it. Real Professor says, we're slamming big time. We're having a big old talk. I wonder if we'll get anything done today. Sakura, I see that you logged on. I have to go to the shipyard to get my hull upgrade. I'll be there in a second. So that the indie scene now is so vibrant and robust and stratified, that it replicates so much of these era of video games that we've already experienced. All right, Sakura, you're in Soaring Eagle or whatever it is. Swooping Eagle. I'm the engineer at Perrin Shipyard, and I'm here to upgrade your ship. Do you have the credits required? Yes.
Ship
Cool.
hull
Upgrading your
upgraded.
ship now. It'll be done in just a second. Your new ship will have a stronger hull, more weapon or device slots. With the upgrade, your rank will also go up to rank 2 for your class. Your ship will also look a bit more sleek, though some upgrades are more noticeable than others. Enjoy. Not so much of a difference on my ship, though. Okay. I'll head over there now. And I have to see you on the station because I have to give you the key and I have to make another key for myself because I can't have it in my inventory, but I can trade it. So that way we can get access to the Maelstrom itself, both of us. Ouch, I'm very itchy. Today was a beautiful day. We had 66 degrees out. Took my kids out for a walk on the nature trail. Even though my youngest is sick, she still wanted to go, and she had a blast. We'd had a parade. Tomorrow's supposed to be warmer too. Perfect. That's perfect. And the 80s? Oh my gosh, that's too much. That's too much, Sakura. No. 65 degrees and sunny is the perfect temperature. It is perfect. If I had that all day, every day, that would be the happiest I could ever possibly be. That's what it is now, minus sunny. Yeah. It's so
New
perfect.
location discovered. Confirmed.
So anyways, yeah, Mike, I think that there's so much going on in this movie that is such a beautiful, vibrant landscape. And I want to take a second to really honor and clear the context of games. So not only just tell my story as a standalone kind of like series of videos, but to also then go into a game
Docking
like,
sequence
or
initiated.
go into the world of the minutia of MMOs and MUDs and these sorts of things, and highlight those games and really highlight the people behind them, the communities and portions of people behind them. And I think it's really important to gather that context and to do something about it. Sakura, Jesus, you scared me. Okay. We are now in a group. I'm going to trade my key. Mazeroth key. Bam, perfect. Now let me go. So you have to put that in your slot in your ship, one of the device slots, and then put it in your hotbar. You'll have to use it when you we get to the waypoint, and that'll get us into it. I went the wrong way. So yeah, that's something I want to do, Mike. And so there's a lot of things going on right now. There's a major crisis going on, just kind of mentally and emotionally. You have all these things that I want to work on, and now it's having to sit here and prioritize. What is it that I really want to do in this space? You know? Totally on purpose. Yeah, do I because I still want to stream, absolutely. You know, absolutely do. I still very much enjoy doing the podcast, but now I have to sit here and oops, wrong one. Devices, Azeroth key. Now I have to ask myself the question of like, how much do I want to do? I have to start balancing that stuff. And what do I want to accomplish first? And like, what things am I going to prioritize? What am I going to get done first? Am I going to, lay down just the base groundwork of this thing? I've got to first and foremost get done the BWF. I want to get that done first and foremost. Get out of here again. That's the dojo. And so I want to work on that and get that like going. I didn't do it today. I mean, that was what was scheduled to be done today, but I didn't want to do it because I was so stressed out. And I was like, I need to have some fun. Like, you know, I enjoy doing the BWF, but it's like making characters isn't necessarily like I wanted to like gameplay. I wanted to do something. But I need to like take a couple days off, and this weekend maybe like I might cancel the streams on Friday and Saturday. Because one, I have to ship out the haiku book, which is a thing that hasn't been shipped out. Because one, a ton of people didn't respond or set out right now. I don't want that. Which is a little sad. It's just a little sad. But let's form up. But so I gotta get that like wrapped up. I gotta write a little message for the person because I very much appreciate them. And where's the mailstream at again? There it is. Oh wait, join. So I gotta get that done. I gotta do a bunch of work off stream on the BWF. I've been working on getting an opening intro sequence, like a little like, hey, it's this thing. And that's been a lot of work. And then work on the movesets for characters, because wow. I'm glad I didn't do that on stream. Making wrestlers movesets for the BWF takes like an hour per character, because there's just so much. There's so much. It's wild. It's like, I'm so glad I didn't stream that, because it's excessive. Probing the maelstrom. So I need to set up my thing.
Installing.
And then so I gotta get the BWF stuff started. Once I get like the initial thing done, I get the intro video done, and I get all the characters' movesets done, and we finish making all the characters. We're gonna probably be doing like events like once a month with like maybe a little interim like side story thing happening in between, and doing that stuff like once or twice a month. Big events once every month. All right, so now we have. I think we gotta get close to it, and then we should be able to use the key. Yeah, then use the key. Once I get that done, and focusing on finishing writing like these episodes and stuff for this thing. So we have to go to. Oh, let's get in our position. This place is creepy as all get out. So we have to go to. I need to go. Hive cluster 1 for 5 seconds. Okay. Whisper, 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 whisper. So we gotta be busy. And let me tell you, lack of sleep really. Because I was gonna get a bunch of that work done the last 2 days. My youngest got sick. I didn't have any time. I wish I had all the time in the world to get all this stuff done.
Mission journal updated.
Okay, we completed this. Now we need to go to Hive Cluster 2. What a weird place. Don't entirely know what's going on here. We know that these rifts opened up after these like manipulating these ancient warp gates, and it caused these rifts to open up. But what they are,
Mission journal updated.
not entirely sure. So we gotta go to Hive Cluster B now. Kuno says, what do you use for your follows, subs, cheers, and raids? I use Streamlabs still. Yep. That's what we use currently. Eventually going to switch over to something else? I don't know. It's just a lot of work and I don't have the time to change it right at the moment. But I want to get to change it to something else. Because I'd love to have channel point redemptions lead to like little clips and stuff like this, little things that pop up. Look, that was that Hungry Hive Queen. It's level 6.
Discovered.
Let me have the map. There's a lot of stuff here. Hive clusters, okay. Harvest clusters. Oh, it's because I looked at something else, I think.
Mission journal updated.
Position at Nav Ophul Refuge. Okay. Ophul Refuge. Why do you ask, Kuno? What's up? Ophul Refuge.
Mission journal updated.
Cool. Now we gotta go. Hungry Hive Queen. Okay. Let's go find a Hungry Hive Queen. There's one. Looping energy. Like it doesn't have. A little ball. That's weird. Soft spindle feelers. Connective tissues. Alright, so next what's up? We gotta go. Okay, so we gotta go back to Parent Station. Do you wanna. Ooh. Hold on, before we go. I'm gonna go to the Mazaroth room. Let's go to the room. There it is.
New location discovered.
Is this? Like, you see remnants of, like, ships and technology here, right? Hold on, what is this? Room feeder. Oh, no, we gotta go. That's a level 40. Alright, we gotta head back. Level 40 dude scares me. Whoops. Whoops.
Unregistered passengers will be searched upon arrival.
Docking sequence
Docking back to
initiated.
translation. Tell our lady. Hey, Ravenlock, how's it going? Yes, let me see that telemetry recording. Ah, well done, Explorer. You've mapped your first steps into the Mazaroth Maelstrom. Some clout for your bravery, pilot. Thanks, lady. You, tell me. You know where my notes are. I don't. It's not the answer I wanted to hear. Oh dear, where can I put these? I don't know, lady, I don't know. Alright, what do we got next? So we have to talk to Counselor Ujeda now. What level are you, Sakura? Yeah, sorry, dude. There's, I think, a quest we can do on. Let's do this one quest. We're gonna go to Jupiter and stuff.
1694, initiate docking sequence on my mark.
Alright. Let's go to Jupiter. I forgot to write, by the way, on Monday, I forgot to write a captain's log. That's what we should do while we make our way over to Jove's Fury. Form. We'll make a captain's log real quick. So what was it 2 days ago? 3:14? Okay. diligent. Quality heroes. Employ once more. Obtain the memories and emotions of the past selves. Apparently.
Override periodic built-in test and switch to version 3 of Raw Day operating system.
Qualities for basic
Craft Bio 3 modules and D-index sensor fusion. 5253.
and is enlightening. Which, after extended
Spaceport vessel, you are clear to open wormhole.
finally found. Seems they attempting to understand its origins and how to access its depths. Paranoia set in, guarding closely Sorry, Sakura. This is not exciting in the slightest. I apologize. Kindness. I'm watching YouTube and reading this. Okay. Sorry. I apologize for making you wait still nonetheless. Kindness. Shahadem, like myself, create one short trip. My poor brain is really an idea that we've done this all along. Regardless, what I learned in that journey is far more valuable than my time. Cerebral Arcade, how are you today? It's so good to see you. Cerebral Arcade. Oh my goodness. Let's talk about the ability to write epistularies in video games and how amazing this is. I can't tell you how much I love being able to write journals in game. I can write journals on my own of my experiences, my in-character perspective of things, but to have it in the game, oh, it's such a simple thing, but to me means the world. I love it to death. I love it. How have you been? What have you been up to? Have you finally finished the move, or is that still having its hiccups? Hopefully everything's going smoothly for you. I've had to access while I've been able, but I did make an unlikely friend. Rojan. My husband ran an online browser text-based MMO game for a bit, and I had him add letters that players could leave for each other, and he added a Twitter bot that tweeted them. Super cool feature. What? Cerebral Arcade, why have you never told me this? Look, Cerebral Arcade. So, I was just talking about this recently, and I think this is incredibly important to do. We were talking about like cultural context for video games and communities, right? And how that is such a vital thing to understanding games in general that far exceeds just the lessons that we learn in game design by playing games. Right? A lot of people, when they talk about games, they typically are talking about just the game itself. They don't talk about their memories. They don't talk about the zeitgeist. They don't talk about the conversations they have with other people. Right? They don't talk about what it was like in that moment. And we were talking about the differences between a variety of different eras of video games and how we can gather that context, not just from people, but from like culture and society, right? So we talk about the 1980s, right? And my good friend Mike, we were talking about how Itch.io and the indie game scene on Itch.io is very much like the computer game development scene in the 80s. You know, the stuff on like the ZX Spectrum and the stuff that's on like the Commodore 64, and just like people making for the sake of creating things. You know, and it doesn't matter what it was, they just wanted to make. They wanted to go in there, fiddle, and just produce something. And they're very proud of this production, but it's just a wild west of ideas. And I think that the indie scene in Itch.io is very much this in a beautiful way. It's a beautiful landscape. But we're talking about the 80s, and how do we learn about the games outside of just the games themselves? And it's talking with people in the 80s. There's huge communities that revolve around the hardware of these sorts of things. You know, they have the Apple II scene, the Commodore scene, the early IBM PCs, that sort of stuff, right? And they have this very like the bulletin board scene and that sort of thing. It's so interesting to hear the stories. I mean, you look at like the BBS documentary that Jason Scott did. That's really fascinating. And gives you such great insight on people in the computer communities that sprung up around them. In the 1990s, things were a little different, right? Where you typically get a lot of your information about how video games are culturally perceived and how communities spring up are based around a lot of video game magazines. That seems to be like the major source of information on how we perceived games, how games are being advertised to people. Those things start to become the major primary source of information and context that we need to better understand that stuff. And then we talk about the 2000s and forums. Yeah, Sakura. The early 2000s is very much forums, IRCs, that sort of thing. The late 90s also, it's starting to happen. You have your AOL services and stuff like this that people are starting to get into, the chat rooms and stuff like that. And the development of these like online gaming platforms, stuff like MPlayer and later on GameTap, like communities start to spring up from that, and we get a better understanding of games and how they're perceived by people during those times. Is really interesting. And then we get to the modern day and social media and stuff like this. It's really MS Gaming Zone. Oh my gosh, Sakura, yeah, Yahoo Games. Ooh. But we're also talking about like MUDs. We don't have a lot of conversation about MUDs. We don't have a lot of conversation about MMOs in general. When a lot of conversation about MMORPGs spring up, it's typically more of a very objective retelling of events. You know, they're like, the game was released. These are the technical difficulties they had. This is what they did with their expansions. This is, and then people either liked it or didn't. And why did they not like it? But they don't ever go into, like, what was going on with competition in MMORPGs. They were going into what was it like in the game in that moment. What were people doing? For instance, one of the major things that I think is just really interesting when you like take a look at a game like, for instance, Anarchy Online, when it launched, right? It had a lot of problems. It was a slideshow. There were so many people cramming into Anarchy Online because that was like the next big game after EverQuest. The game even references a very like predominant meme at that time, which was I'm in search of fat loot. There's a little character called Elite. Yeah, like a newbie enemy that you can fight in Anarchy Online. And it even mentions that, references this thing from EverQuest. I can't find that like anywhere online that it references this. I just remembered this as a kid. And like that sort of thing. We don't talk about like what were people doing in those games at that time. We don't talk about the memories that people have, the connections and bonds that they have, or why those things are important. And MMOs are so interesting in that regard because the game is set up to create those social bonds. And we see that in sometimes with certain single player games, with certain like culturally impactful and like industry changing games. You look at games like Undertale, you look at the Soul series, you look at something like Castlevania Symphony of the Night. These genre defining games that typically sprout out communities around those sorts of things. But we don't hear those stories as much. I think it's super important. And so I was talking about one of the two things that I wanted to do in general as a project in the near future, which I've been starting to like lay the groundwork for and writing stuff out and kind of just organizing thoughts. I'm sorry, Sakura, you're supposed to be playing with me and I apologize. I'm a bad friend, Sakura, I'm sorry. One of the two projects is the first one is cataloging and describing my own personal stories in video games. It's part of the work. Thank you. The first major thing that I think is super important, and it's been a bucket list thing that I wanted to do, was write out, organize, and like do a video series that explains what games were for me, my experiences with them, because I think it's really important to do for people. I don't think we do it enough, because it's very personal, it's very intimate, and I think a lot of people close themselves off to those kind of stories because they're always very worried about being vulnerable and that sort of stuff. But I have a super crazy good memory, an uncanny one, and so I feel like I'm going to be getting to the point in my age where this stuff's going to be slipping, and I don't have any pictures of my childhood. So like I don't have anything from that. Like my childhood, literally I have things from my childhood. I was able to get a couple toys before my childhood home was sold. One of my childhood homes, my most recent one at least. Like I got this and a couple toys that I was able to get. I don't have access to any pictures. I don't have access to anything from like my childhood. And so like all I have is my memories, and those will eventually fade. So I need to start working on immortalizing those things, getting them down on paper, doing some kind of memorial for them, and talk about them, because there's a lot. There's a lot. The reason why I do this, the reason why I talk about games in general, is because I've dedicated my whole life to thinking about them, to chronicling them, to connect with them, right? And I take this stuff really seriously, but I don't take it, like I don't have that weird put it on a pedestal thing. I don't have that. But I thought it was really important for me to do. And then the second major thing also is really highlighting online games, online game experiences, not just MMOs. Any game that had an online feature that had a community spring up from it. That's even just talking about like gaming service platforms, but a lot of MUDs, talking about MUDs so much because no one talks about them. And yet they are so influential on the groundwork for how we built MMORPGs for so long. And how that splintered, how that changed. And why did that change? Because I think that's very important. The why these things started to change dramatically and start to lose sight of MUDs and their design concepts. But also to really talk about them, about people's stories, more than anything. Because I think that stuff needs to be immortalized. That stuff needs to be remembered. We're getting to a point where those people who played those games are getting old, or they're dying out. And that context is being lost. Being lost completely. And I don't want that to be the case. I really don't want that to be the case. I want people's memories and stories around these things to be remembered. And also to highlight why that's so important, you know? I don't know. I'm getting emotional. I'm getting very emotional because I think it's incredibly important. To a point where I'm starting to dramatically rethink a lot of things that I'm doing and why. It was something I always wanted to do, and I feel like the clock is ticking dramatically. So I need to, like, I'm working on the Bogus Wrestling Federation. I want to get that set up and, like, done so I don't have to work on it so much. We're probably going to be dramatically dialing back the Literate Pixel podcast. Still doing it, but not twice a month. It might be just a once a month thing now. But just simply because there's a lot of stuff going on in both Nick and my life right now. A lot of things. And it's just a lot of work editing that podcast. It's a lot of work that I don't currently have. And then starting to lay the groundwork for this stuff because I think it's really big. And altering what I stream and why to help also kind of be a dual purpose for that. Anyways, I'm sorry. I was writing a captain's log. Okay. Sorry. Next one is date stamp today. I made it. A promotion, my work, and the research, study of the maelstroms has led to a promotion, an upgrade on my ship, and a task to further explore Azeroth Maelstrom. Here. Wingman, Saki, we set forth. You get auto cases Tiger. Oh, the person I was just writing about in my captain's log. Just mentioned, just given. We set forth into the maelstrom. Discover such horrific sights. Hives. And whispers. You can see chaotic colors. Anything you've ever seen. Outrageous.
Delta Craft, resend docking request on channel 437 Mark II. Lateral guidance system.
Fascinating. Bam. Reply. Doing fantastic. I appreciate the upgrades. Dramatically. Having a lot of fun. I hope you are doing well as well. Sorry. My poor brain.
Docking sequence initiated.
That was the person who helped me out. They gave me some upgrades. They also helped me navigate some of the more difficult portions to do this one quest that took me so long to get through. And they made it just a little quick, expedited my movement through it, which was nice. Alright, let's talk to... Here, Chancellor Ujeda. So you've chosen to help the Gen Kwai. Wonderful. Prepare yourself. This is a long mission, but by completing it, you will be rewarded greatly. What must I do? I'm not the best one to explain what you must do, but I can help you get started. One of your greatest allies will be Lore Master Daikia. They help make a furniture store too. So to begin your work, It would be kind to bring her a gift. I have the gift arranged to be picked up at the Fenris Prime Observatory. Good luck. Okay. The Fenris Prime Observatory. I have no idea where that is. Let's take a look at our map.
Deltacraft. Resend docking request on channel 437 Mark II.
Hold on. It might actually tell me where I need to go here. Fenris Prime. Okay. I have no idea where Fenris Prime is. Sleeping Eagle, Jupiter. Hold on. Let's see. Zoom out. Antares, Talseti. Jesus, how far away is that? So I'm guessing it's going to be in our territory.
2074 distress call received. Awaiting confirmation.
Capella is Guitar's Vale. Carlosa. Christian's Cove. Guitar's Frontier. Glad it helped. All good here, thanks. Just shout when you need next upgrades. Okay, awesome. They're gonna help me with that. So it's nice. It's very nice of them. Primus Nebula. Fenris Prime. Have fun. Have fun. I might look it up because I don't know. No clue. Let's see. Fenris Prime Observatory. Okay, so where is this at? Aragoth. It's in Aragoth. So, oops. Aragoth. Oh, it's down here. Okay. So, let's see. Ragnarok, Freyja, Jotunheim. Muspelheim. Farron's Girl. Hellgrave Twins. Fenris. There it is. Okay. So how did I get here before? We went from Acheron's Gate to Freya. Okay. That's where we gotta go. Sakura, ready to go.
Initiate docking sequence on my mark.
Acheron's Gate is... Oh god. How do we get to Acheron's Gate? I forget. Let's see. Acheron's Gate was... Here it is. I'm so lost. Acheron's Gate. Saturn. We gotta go to Saturn, then Acheron's Gate. Okay. Saturn it is. Persnickety Sea Cow, how's it going? Sabra! Sabra! Sabla!
Outer marker, Kelvin index
Okay.
1400.
Headed out. Going to Saturn. Saturn? Sorry, was that? I'm sorry, Sakura. I'm so sorry. I'm a terrible friend. I am so sorry. I legitimately feel bad. I jibber jabber. That's all I do. Persnickety Cow, how are you? What have you been up to? have to message you. We haven't messaged about your email and stuff. I gotta get you a thing. Gotta get you a thing. Anyways, good man. I hope you too. I just feel a little hot compared to my voice. Okay, I will turn it down. No one's telling me these things. Shame on you all. Shame on you all. Again, the audio's a bit loud. The Net 7 Field Report Frigate. Have you been playing anything good lately? What is everybody playing right now? I'm curious. I've been prepping on Mario Kart 8. That stream is still kind of up in the air. We'll see. Alright, so we're going to Aragoth. Friday, in everyone's defense, some streamers don't take kindly to feedback. Shame on them. Shame on them. I take kindly to feedback. Look, my brain.
Entering gravity well.
Oh, the gravity well. Don't mind us. We're just in a gravity well. My brain doesn't. What are you looking forward to? That's probably even a more important question. No. Still in the gravity well. What do we got here? Oh, level 16s. Let's get out of the gravity well. Can I please get out of the gravity well, please? Nope. Can I please get out of the gravity well, please? Oh, God. Can I please get out of the gravity well? Oh my God. Can I please get out of the gravity well? Nope. Still in the gravity well. We just gotta go full throttle. Let's just get out of this gravity well, please. Nope. Still in it. They're getting slowly closer. Okay, they're going farther away now. Okay, okay, we're fine. Let's take a second. So Advance Wars got postponed indefinitely. I get why. It's a shame. They can't catch a break. Poor Advance Wars can't catch a break. Switch Sports. Sakanako says, I miss gravity already. I'm still stuck in the dang gravity well. You know what? I hate gravity wells.
Leaving gravity well.
Oh, thank God. Switch Sports. Can we all just, for a second, just for a second, can people, please, for the love that is all unholy, admit that the likes of Wii Sports Resorts, those things are fun. They're insanely fun. Like, I'm stoked for their wild bowling, like, battle royale. Yeah, it does suck, because, yeah, it's unknown when that's going to come back. You know, like, we don't know when it's going to be out. We know nothing. Okay. It's okay, Sakura. We got a long journey, but this one should be free of any gravity wells. Like, I had, so when I got my wife hates video games, so I'm looking forward to playing sports. Yeah, Persnickety Seiko. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. It looks awesome. It looks awesome. I'm stoked for it. I love the sports games. I love Wii Sports. I love motion control gimmicks. I love them. I love them. Because let's talk about why that is necessarily the case and what I find so interesting about this, right? So, one, video games initially, they don't. So, like, we talk about adventure games and how. I know.
Gravity well.
Oh, I'm in another gravity well. Hold on. Hold on. Just hope to God nothing comes after me. How stuff like a text-based adventure game and things like this was you using your brain to navigate obstacles and things like this, and then we start to get more frenetic in more physical in how we describe or engage with games, to the point where then first-person things become all the rage. And why is that? Typically, that's because gravity well is because the thumbstick, how we engage with first-person games is far more replicative of the physicality of bodies, our own bodies, right? Yeah, you look around, you're grabbing things, you're interacting with things in a more direct and more physical way. And then you have stuff like motion controls. It's like a perfect evolution of that concept, and I think that they're really fun, they're really novel, and you see already how that has evolved and changed, how the Wii led the way for how both the Wii and the Kinect led the way for the technology that made VR a possibility, right? That really pushed the concept of what was possible to really replicate the physicality of our movements and translate it into games. And Wii Sports is a perfect example of that. Wii Sports is such a perfect example of how to we got a ways to go. Okay, so we're going to Odin Rex, to Odin's Belt, to Muspelheim, to Aragoth Prime. Okay, so we got a long way to go. Alright, sorry. Form up. So we're going all the way down to Odin Rex. This is a journey, Sakura. Get ready for this. I had to go this path to get to the spot that I needed to go to for a mission. It was a very long and arduous journey because I couldn't find the Odin Rex nav point. We pretty much located everything possible in this map. Almost. But now we got this nice straight shot. It's nice and easy. But Wii Sports is fun. So much fun. And I can't wait for Switch Sports. I think that Nintendo is still clung on to the motion controls and what the possibilities of those things are. With stuff like we saw it with like Ring Fit Adventure, with Labo, they really still do believe in the things that this controller can do that is very different than a typical game controller, the IR cameras and that sort of stuff, you know? It's really interesting. And but I'm super stoked for it. But they also embrace these other strange genres and they apply them to things we don't typically, you know, see, like the battle royale sort of thing, and adding weird twists to it, like Tetris and Mario and that sort of stuff, which is typically you find to be like, huh? And they're doing that with bowling, which is awesome. I endorse this dramatically. Sakura's gonna make me level again from our explorations here. Sakura, you made me level. Yeah, because I'm gonna hit 14. We might even hit 15. If I do that, I get a new mission. Which is not environmental. I think it's not navigate. Not reactor tech. That's when I hit level 40. Oh, I get a new reactor 40? Nice. Scan? That's level 35. Shield tech? That's level 50. Extended wormhole? It's at 60. What is it I get? I get something new. Maybe a new wormhole? Yeah, I get a new wormhole. We get to go to Valkyrie Twins. That's huge. Okay, Odin Rex. But I'm super excited. Having had parent in-care facility a couple years back, I'm liking the idea of volunteering to bring in something like switchboards to show residents. I understand we bowling was a hit in places that could afford them. Absolutely. They're still there to this day, Persnickety Cow. They're still there to this day. Absolutely. Because folks love that. It's accessible. It's easy to understand. It's just a native concept. Think about the way that people interacted with game controllers that didn't play video games back in the late 80s and early 90s. When they were playing, what were they doing? They were moving their body. I'm gonna go this way. They're doing that, right? There's something so natural to that concept of moving your body to have that translate to movement on a screen and in games. It's just something inherently ingrained in our brain. Just do that without any knowledge of games. And so I think it's a brilliant way to get people moving and get people active, you know? Swinging your arms. Look at these guys. Level 5, the first circle Chavez mechanics. So many Chavez people. Second circle Chavez mechanics. Ooh, blood initiates. Look at these guys, level 23. We're just flying by them. Goodbye, guys. Have a wonderful night, Audio Eric. We'll be here. Thank you so much. Get some rest. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Have a wonderful night. Yeah, so I just, man. So I remember, so Persnickety Cow, did you play a lot of Wii Sports back in the day? Were you a Wii fan? So the Wii was the very first system I bought with my own money. I was living, you know, on my own. I think Marbles on Steam would be a fun place. Fun at places like that too. So people able-bodied don't have to feel left out. Something to cheer for. Oh man, Persnickety Cow, absolutely. Get him into Street Fighter betting. Go to Salty Bets. There you go. Who's gonna win? Goku? So when the Wii came out, it was the first system that I bought with my own money. Sorry, Sakura. I know you were itching for movement. So we're going to Odin's. Not Galena. No, not Galena. Going to Muspelheim? Where are we going? We're going to Muspelheim. Okay. Muspelheim it is. And I was living couch to couch at that time. I was kind of homeless. And I was working, but didn't have a place to live. So I lived on people's couches. And I bought this. I had gone to the midnight launch of it. My friend and I, so one of my older brothers was like, get me one as well. So my friend came along with me to get that for my brother. And we went to Meijer. It's our local 24-hour superstore. And we got there at like 10 o'clock in the morning that day. And because we were like, you know, you could go to Best Buy, but I don't want to wait outside. Let's see if Meijer is doing it. You know, because then we could stay inside. It's a 24-hour store. and just see what their plan is. So we get there, and they're like, "Hi, okay, you want to get the Wii? Okay, perfect. We are only getting 14 of them. You are number 11 and number 12." And we're like, "Okay, well, we're staying here." And they give us our little ticket, and they set us down at the furniture section. So they had all this stuff set up for us to sit down and wait. And there's all these other people around our age. There's some older people getting it for their kids. Sorry, Sabra. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so I've never been here before. So we're looking for Aragoth Prime. And then we can go to Varen's Girdle to Fenris. Okay, so we gotta look for Aragoth Prime. So let's start with Muspelheim 5. And so we're all sitting there. I brought my DS at the time because I had Metroid Prime Hunters, and I brought like all of my multiplayer, like local multiplayer stuff. You know, that was like only one cart was needed. It's like maybe somebody has a DS and we can play stuff with them. That'll be great. And lo and behold, that absolutely was the case. And we played a bunch of games. Everyone was happy. We went and bought a copy of Monopoly, and what was funny is we're playing Monopoly because we were there for 14 hours. So we bought Monopoly and we're playing it on one of the card tables they had set up for us, and it was me, my buddy, his little brother who hung out with us, and what was wild is that like there's a group of friends that were around our age. One of the guys from there defected onto our side, and everyone thought he was so dumb for going to play Monopoly. And we were having way too much fun and just like laughing and losing our freaking mind playing Monopoly. And at a certain point, the guy we were with, like, "I got a TV in my van and a modded Xbox. Do you think we could talk to the manager and see if he'd let us hook it up?" And we were like, the other people were like, no, like, don't, dude, no, they're gonna hate us. And we were like, "No, dude, do it. And so the manager comes up and he's like, "How's everything going, guys? And I'm really happy that you guys are all, being really respectful and everything, and you guys are, not being loud or crazy or destructive. Like, I really, really appreciate this. We're really trying to create a really fun environment for everybody." And we were like, "Do you think we could bring in a TV and an Xbox to play in here? Like, and plug it in one of the outlets?" And he's like, "Yeah, there's an outlet right over here. Won't get in the way of the walkways. Just make sure that when you're doing this, don't block anyone's ability to walk, and you don't have it really loud." "Sure." And we're like, all right. So for like the last 6 hours of it, we had a modded Xbox going with just a billion games, playing it on like we did like a Soul Calibur tournament, and just having a wild time. And then like when we got the stuff, it was buy a Wii remote, get a free nunchuck. And it was buy a game, get another game 50% off, even though there was only like 2 games or something at the time, so you didn't have much choice. But still, it was so much fun. All right. I'm just looking if there's a place to land. Any of you guys landable? No. Okay. So we are looking for Aragoth Prime. So either Valkyrie Twins or Varen's Girdle. So we're just gonna kind of go in one direction and see what happens. Definitely one of my best gaming launch experiences. And then when we bought it, it's 1 a.m. around the time we get back to my brother's place where I was staying at the time, and we hooked that bad boy up. We had 4-player Wii Sports, in his small little tiny apartment, and we were just having a great time. It did not take long for somebody to accidentally use the Wii remote and smack it into something. Hit somebody got hit. It was a good time. It was a wild time. It was so good. I loved it so much. Just everybody being super excited for this thing. And just having a blast. What the? It's quite the sun. Communication node, Aragoth, Mercer Field. Just gotta go nav point to nav point. Sakura, you made me level, by the way, with all this discovering. I'm now 14 into exploration level 31. I hope you've gone up a level 2, at least somewhat, for exploration. We had to be quick on the warps too, because in these sorts of areas now, there'll be lots of situations where enemies are going to be, and so it becomes incredibly dangerous at that point. Well, we got some good guys on our side. Terran escort vessels, nice. Some good guys here. They like us. Well, that's the thing, is that, like, I had a lot of ones given to me. I mean, I'm going to be 39 this year, so I'm not a spring chicken. But I had much older brothers with major disposable incomes, and so I typically got stuff as hand-me-downs. I mean, essentially, you can't really see, my shelf is kind of junked up and cluttered right now, but, like, almost the entirety of my collection is hand-me-downs from them. All the Saturn games that I own, and everything. The DS that I had, was the first console that was mine, and it was a gift that my girlfriend, now wife, set up for me as a big surprise, and it was a surprise. Sakura, we're gonna go over to Cherniveg Station real quick and set a spawn point here just in case we kick the bucket, so we don't have to make that long trek. But yeah, no, I always had, my older brothers were always the disposable incomes. They started working, and okay, where are we going here? Let's go this way. Let's go this way. It was a surprise. That DS, I cried. Because I really, really wanted one. I thought it was the coolest thing, and this was at the point when I was on the like the official Nintendo forums in their community, big time. And they were talking about the DS coming out, and I was really excited about it. And so, like, they used to have the Nintendo community is so great. They used to have a yearly summer camp, virtual summer camp, Camp Hyrule, and it was like it was a website, and you'd be put into cabins. They had their own chat rooms and stuff like this, and they'd give like tasks and competitions for the different campers, like drawing art contests, these sorts of things. Sakura's got to charge the reactor. Sorry, Sakura. And anyways, so they got me super hyped for the DS, and I'm starting to get really into communities in a big way. And I really wanted it, but it was November at the time. The system had already been out, and it was hard to get. It was really, really expensive. And so my wife didn't tell me this. She had organized it with my older brothers to go in on it, split it, and get one online from a scalper. But at that time, scalping was like, oh, you paid like $50 more. So it wasn't that much. And a copy of Super Mario 64 DS, which I think is the superior Mario 64. I'm a firm advocate of the analog stick is not necessary for those types of games. I'm a weirdo. But so when it was Christmas time, when it was time for me to get this, go to Farron's Girdle. I got the box. I opened it up. I was like, "Oh my god, I got it! Holy crap!" And I opened it up, and inside is a Stone Temple Pilots CD. And this is during the time when my oldest brother would give me a Stone Temple Pilots CD for every occasion. So for birthdays and Christmases for like 3 years straight. I didn't like Stone Temple Pilots. I didn't like their music. I was like, it's fine. But he would give me one every year as a joke. And inside was a Stone Temple Pilots CD. And I was like, I was crying tears of sadness. I was so upset and so sad. And all the while, my other brother is behind me playing the DS, and I don't notice. And then they're like, "Look, Pa," and everyone's like laughing. And I'm like, "It's not funny." Like, it's not funny. I'm really upset. Like, I'm really sad. And they're like, "Look behind you," and I do, and it's there. And I was so happy. And I sat and I played Mario 64 DS for so long. The Nav Nithog Trail. What an interesting place. What is... These guys are level 8. Okay.
New location discovered.
I'm already about to level again. That was my favorite. That's a moment that I'll always hold and treasure dear. And that lady became my wife, who organized that whole thing. Could have been happier. I love the DS so much.
New location
The DS is so cool. I still, to this day, am hoping for Nintendo to bring back Yoshi Touch and Go. We need Yoshi Touch and Go. That was such a brilliant game. I wish we had more of.
New location discovered.
Ooh, those things are level 31. New Ratatosk Trail. The Nithog. Interesting place, man.
New location discovered.
Memories. Ah, memories. The Ostare Corolla. Woo! Fenris, there it is. There it is!
Location discovered.
I love how just by doing this now, we're creating a surefire safe route through these systems. By now discovering these things, we have nav points now that can take us just directly there without having to stop at any point. And that immediately makes this place infinitely safer. These incredibly dangerous places are so far from home. I know, Sakura. These places that are incredibly dangerous, way past our level,
Discovered.
but now they're safe. They're safe for us to go through. I think, let's see. Let's take the nav points. And also, we're leveling. Right? I'm level 14 in exploration. When we started, I was right here, level 13. I've gone a full level and like really close to leveling up again. That stuff's happening just by exploring.
New location discovered.
Oh, sorry, Sakura. Sakura says bye. Can you get here? Are you here? Sakura? You coming? I'm so sorry. Alright, you can form up now. I'm so sorry. I've been so good this whole time, and I didn't do the formation this time. When we finally, like, make it to, like, where do we need to get to, right? Because from Fenris, we now take... Where do we go from Fenris? Hold on. Where are we going? Where are we going?
New location discovered.
We got the Prime. Hold on. Where are we at right now? Where are we going? We're going to Fenris Prime. Okay, we're going where we need to go. Okay, good. We're going where we're supposed to go. Had a panic attack for a second. Like, wait, where are we actually supposed to go? I forget. And I think that's us right there on the left. I can see it. Yep. Fenris Prime Observatory. This is so enthralling, isn't it, Sakura? At least you're getting some XP. At least you're leveling. Have you leveled? You've leveled up, obviously, right? I hope so. At least a couple times. I wish you could show me more info about you.
Heading 160, contact GEOS 25 and
New location discovered.
Fenris Prime Observatory.
Registration approved. Docking sequence initiated.
Coming in for a landing. Now arriving at Fenris Prime Observatory, monitoring Fenris planet and surrounding ancient sites. Kuno said a while ago you asked what we were all playing. I'm going to tell you, but if you get it, it will consume your time, but it is that fun. It's a $2.99 game on Steam called Vampire Survivors. The game is very simple, but highly addictive. Tell me about Vampire Survivors. Let me look at this. Let me look at this Vampire Survivors. Vampire Survivors is a roguelite shoot-'em-up role-playing video game developed and published by Luca Galante, also known as Ponkel. December 2021. Automatically attacking character while fighting against continuous waves of monsters, with the goal being to survive the onslaught for as long as possible. The weapon attacks automatically. The player's goal is to defeat constant waves of various monsters that appear. They have a soft time limit of 15 to 30 minutes, depending on the stage chosen. At the time limit, the stage is cleared of all enemies, and a final enemy named Death will spawn. A session that reaches the stage's limit and causes Death to come in is a successful completion. This sounds terrifying to me. Whistlestick says, I've got an itch to get back into this game. Whistlestick, welcome. Now's the time. I'm new to this game, Whistlestick. I'm absolutely best $3 you can spend. I think that it's a reverse bullet hell roguelite. Interesting. I mean, for $3, it sounds right. I hit level 81 and went for 30 minutes and 5 seconds. That sounds insane. I'm not very good at shmups. Roguelikes, I haven't got that hit yet. I gotta play Hades. I own Hades. I gotta see if it clicks with me. Whistlestick, though, welcome. It's a pleasure to have you. We play a lot of MMOs here. We play a little bit of everything from all generations, from the 1980s to now. VR, text-based adventure games, like everything. But we have a major emphasis on MMORPGs and long-forgotten ones. And it's absolutely fascinating. We love this. So I've gotten introduced to this game. I have a pretty extensive knowledge of MMOs. I love a lot of them from like the early 2000s and back. Typically is the ones that I really, really enjoy. I find really interesting. I had never heard of Earth and Beyond. My good friend Sakura recommended it as well as somebody else. And at first, like, this is fun. And then things started to click. And the hooks dug in. I'm loving the world. I love that I can make a captain's log. The game has been incredibly fun. The community is very small, but very tight-knit. They're very friendly and very helpful. It's worth getting into. I mean, the game is tons of fun. Did you play this back when it first came out? Very curious. Okay. Hey, Liam. How's it going, buddy? I heard someone was coming for these documents. Are you that person? Yes.
Journal updated.
Good. I wanted to get rid of them so I could get back to my work. Oh, but before you go, Ujeta told me to let you know why I'm giving you these documents. I'm sure you've heard of the woman by the name of Daikya. She is very intelligent but a bit loopy, so Ujeta figured if you gave her these documents, she would be more willing to trust you. So go give the documents to her on the Tokai Saikutsu in Dahin. Oh man, Dahin. Long time ago, back in that golden age of MMOs, like you mentioned, love that time. Yeah, it is. You are absolutely right that it is a golden age, because at that point, World of Warcraft wasn't the standard on how you made MMOs. You know, it was industry leader, of course, but like there were still other MMOs that were doing things differently. City Heroes, The Matrix Online, and of course, Star Wars Galaxies before its major update. These types of games were really trying to do something very different and very distinct for the genre, instead of copying how it plays, how progression happens, and these sorts of things. It won and destroyed the MMO market. It's true. And it's not... Look, that is not a bash on World of Warcraft either. Because in reality what happens is when something is such a disruptive force to the genre, all it means is that all of the game companies then try to replicate it. And that's what killed the genre. Not the game, World of Warcraft. All of the people then deciding we have to be World of Warcraft. That kills it. But also the then perception of the market of the people playing these games wanting World of Warcraft. It's not the fault of that game. It's a combination, almost predominantly the industry saying we want to replicate World of Warcraft, and then a little bit of people saying we want World of Warcraft. We want this, A lot of fun in WoW also, but yeah, it really did become, let's clone it. Exactly. And even those games that were already out, that were already very successful, stuff like Star Wars Galaxies, they changed everything to try to become it. Same thing with the original EverQuest. And then they had to go free to play to survive, and all the pain that came with that. What's wild is that, WoW wasn't the standard until Burning Crusade came out. Yeah, at that point, Gunnar, when Burning Crusade came out, that was only, their first expansion. That's not that long after the game released. At that point, it had just become the standard at that moment. When it was launched, it had such a huge user base already. It was the first time, it wasn't the first time, but it was such a, using the Warcraft franchise to get that audience, that pre-built audience in there big time. Was it really 2007 when Burning Crusade came out? Hold on. Am I remembering which one's Burning Crusade? But yeah, it was still super popular. Instead of the way they would build the game with value to have a subscription, basically when they worked for our money. So yeah, so my concept, I'm still a firm believer that we should go back to a subscription-based format for games. Oh no, Kuno no Oni. Star Wars Galaxies changed completely how it was built to replicate WoW. EverQuest 2 was trying to replicate WoW, even though they were coming out at around the same time. They knew what WoW was doing, and they were trying to build in a way that was similar. They wanted that pie, and they had to change things to become more World of Warcraft like. Everything was changing to fit that mold. It absolutely was. It is wild. Because we were watching it in real time at that moment, and everybody was talking about WoW and how that was the one. World of Warcraft was the game. It was just like when playing these older MMOs pre-EverQuest and seeing what was happening. This is why I say context is so important. Being in these games like Underlight, Ultima Online, Meridian 59, and then the text MUDs that were commercial, like Gemstone and Hercules, and Fairwood Crossroads, that when EverQuest came out, everyone stopped what they were doing. Like, no, excluding Ultima Online, that was still a really popular and huge force. But all these other MMOs, like, everybody stopped playing those games and immediately flocked to EverQuest. And it was weird because I was still a diehard I was a diehard Underlight fan, and not a lot of people know what that was. But when I played that game as a kid, that was my MMO, and everybody moved on to EverQuest. I stayed true to that, and there was, still maybe like 150 people playing that game comparatively, and there was a ton of people playing it at the time. It was such a huge loss, and everybody's like, no, they're just gonna go play it, and they're gonna come back, and they never did. It says Star Wars Galaxy's pre-update was so amazing, even with the faults. I missed so much of that game. Have those cool player cities, not instanced, economy, interactions with the player, cantinas, even resource gathering, rare things. The awe of actually unlocking a Jedi, being more absolutely such a neat customizable profession system. Oh, so let's talk about that for a second, because we've talked about this before. I'm sorry, we're supposed to be playing this game, but you coming in has caused, you're bibbling my giblies here. So here's the thing, right? We talked about the profession system of Star Wars Galaxies and why it's so fantastic. So one of the things that makes Dark Age of Camelot was a game I read about, wanted to try out, but never did. I played Dark Age of Camelot as well, Kuna no Oni. That one really brought the realm versus realm combat system into the limelight, and really was a predominant selling factor for it. So great. You do not need to be sorry for derailing with reminiscing, because this is what we do. So that customizable profession system was like, MMORPGs are all about emergent gameplay, right? You look at stuff like Ultima Online, very little NPC interactions besides buying things from merchants. There was no NPC interactions at all, to its fault. But what it did was player interactions, these events that sprouted up, were fascinating and interesting. And there wasn't a specific build, right? And that's the same thing with Star Wars Galaxies. People experimented with combinations and with their profession systems to get a bunch of different things to fit their character and their play style. There was no true efficient way to play the game, because there was a lot of different ways to play it in interesting, unique, and effective ways. Then you look at what happened with games like WoW and stuff later on, where it became this very linear progression, and the skill trees are unimaginative. They're not as engaging as compared to this kind of free-form system. And the Secret World, which is a more modern MMO, really tried to go back a little bit to what kind of Star Wars Galaxies was trying to do, allowing for a free-form class system where you get to kind of pick what your offensive skills and abilities are willy-nilly from a different variety of different groups. Very similar to kind of what Star Wars Galaxies was doing. And that was so fantastic. I remember doing combat, running spice factories to make money, selling faction to players in cities. Felt like a real smuggler. They were back then, Kunononi, but they've changed again. They've changed again to be that more linear situation. They were much better early on. And also, as games progress and they get older and older, it becomes so refined to such a tiny point that that's the only thing that people do is now that one particular build, that sort of thing. Whizzlestick. So Star Wars Galaxies was very much taking the thing that made Ultima Online so interesting and increasing it to 1 million. It was Ultima Online times 1,000, because now it included these professions and classes that helped engage with other players socially without having to rely on combat. The entertainer and the musician and dancer, that sort of thing, as well as like the doctor and the body changing one. But it was so wild to see The only thing that I wish that Star Wars had was just more NPC interaction, not going theme park. Although it was fine that they had those theme park moments. Like, I don't mind that so much. Like when they added Jabba's Palace and that sort of stuff. But I love very much what the original EverQuest did with interaction with NPCs. I talk about this constantly, and people who are normal to the channel have heard this a million times. But I'm playing to the new folks, playing to the Whizzle Sticks here in chat. The big thing for me has always been, and I think this is so magical, I think that a text parser is incredibly powerful in how we engage with NPCs. Instead of just kind of double-clicking on an NPC and listening to them talk or reading this text that doesn't seem that important. In EverQuest, you target an NPC, you hit the H button, you hail them, they give you some information, they give you keywords and brackets, you type that information out, you ask it in a full sentence, a question related to that topic, they talk to you back, they'll make you say, like, go talk to this other person and tell them Fidelio, and you have to go find that NPC and, like, engage with them in public chat, and tapping away at the keyboard, and you're so engaged, and you had to really be laser focused on what they said because you don't have that logbook, you don't have those waypoints, and you got to remember, because it's important, and you have to travel really far or do really dangerous things for this really simple kind of quest, and you were focused, laser focused. Whizzle Stick says, yeah, EQ1 is so many good times there. That game you could actually have a party, all of you die, then spend a few hours trying to get a necro to summon your corpse or manage to get back to your body to get your stuff and somehow call that a victory/adventure and be happy. Oh, hiring yourself a rogue or having a rogue in your party, giving them permission to drag your corpse, and that person stealthing their way naked in a dangerous dungeon, trying to grab everybody's corpse and drag it back without being noticed. Like, that stuff is so... How... Sakura... Oh! Sorry, Sakura, you need a jump start. I'm coming. I'm sorry. I'm coming to save you, Sakura. I'm coming to save you. They left. You can't stay around here, Sakura. You gotta be safe. Where are you? Sakura! Shakma! Okay, I'm coming. Okay. Out of range. Let's get closer. Giving you a jump. I'm getting my cables out, okay? I am so sorry. I'm jumping around in your ship. Are you back? Oh, good as new. Mostly. Okay, good. Get in the space station, Sakura. Jeez. Yeah, because in EverQuest situation, right, the classes that you picked, everybody had unique roles and abilities that altered the experience, right? So you being a ranger and being able to track mobs and that being like a big thing for your character, right? That was part of your identity. People would seek you out for those things, right? Being a wizard and being sought out for ports. Being a druid, sought out for the ring teleportations, necromancers for raising corpses, rogues for recovering corpses. And those people who played those characters, those classes, doing those things, having those adventures, making money off of doing that, and those things being so special and unique and interesting. Oh, back when you did feel unique to the party, like you mattered, and you weren't just randomly matched player 2, where, yeah, your roles in the triumvirate, like we always talk about the triangle, the three classes, your tank, your DPS, your heal, and how that wasn't a thing back then. You know, there were people that fit those roles, but they were not exclusively that, and that wasn't all that they did. And meeting an enchanter And you had to know, like, what kind of enchanter are you? Because there's a lot of different ways that they build that character that can be very different. Same way in Star Wars Galaxies. You meet a person and you're just like, what do you know? What can you do? It's so distinct to that player. Persnickety Seacow says, I wonder if any good dating stories about we met when he offered my spaceship a jump start. Oh, Persnickety Seacow. So many stories. Probably some of the best and worst dating stories. Absolutely. But that's what makes MMOs so fantastic. That drive for social interaction, the need for social interaction to survive, and people willing to band together, reputation being a thing. You know? If you cheat people, if you loot steal, if you're running around pickpocketing mobs while everybody's trying to tackle them, and it's gone, they know about that stuff. Reputation was huge. And everybody was trying to work together, typically, to survive in this world. Right? That's gone. That's gone now, because they want to... I always recommend... There's a GDC talk with this guy talking about how do you engage with the solo player? How do you get them to stay in your game? And the things they talk about is madness. And I grossly disagree with it. Because it's typically like building a game for a solo player to exist. And to be able to play through the game and get their enjoyment. And then, once they finished the solo experience, to then slowly filter them into the raid experience. And I'm like, it's not how you do it. That's not how you do it. It drives me nuts. It drives me nuts. Like, a solo player should be able to exist. Right? But they exist in a very different way. And ways that you can engage with them is by allowing them to engage passively in the social constructs that you've built. People role-playing and just kind of being there as a silent observer. Just asking for help, someone coming in to help. And you're not obligated to be a part of their guild. You're not obligated to constantly chitter and chatter about it. But you get the help that you need, and having that reinforced by the community. And without having to be obligated. But this person's GDC talk was very much like, how do we get them to get into the guilds? How do we get them to join guilds and to do raid groups? And I'm like, you're building your game wrong if that's what you think is the only reason why you should play an MMO. Like, that is literally all they do now, is how do you get to the end of the single player experience and then get into the group raids? It drives me bananas. It drives me bananas. Because I'm like, there's so much more now in these old MMOs that we don't think about. You look at Star Wars Galaxies and its economy and how they craft. This game also does a similar kind of thing in its crafting, although not as robust as Star Wars Galaxies. This is a really great mixture of the economy crafting game experience, the exploring and discovering, and the combat, but as well as story, where there is like a clear story to the world that you are discovering naturally and through quests and things like this, but it's not such a linear experience that you can only tackle it in one thing to the next, you know. Oh, I'm sorry. Going nuts. I'm going nuts. All right, I gotta go to Daheen. Okay, Sakura, let's talk to some NPCs here, and then we'll head to Daheen, which is back, all the way back, but we gotta teleport, so we're fine. Star Wars Galaxies was so neat with the resources, like Surveyor or whatever, looking for high concentrations of specific resources. Exactly, Whistlestick. And like, planets having very different levels of that stuff. The MM part does stand for massively multiplayer. They really aren't meant to be played solo. It's just what happened when casuals complain loudly. No, I do disagree. I disagree there. I think that there's a place for solo players, but I think that it's just like saying in society, right? In the world that we live in at large, that you must be in clubs, and you must be in like a church or a large social group in order to to gain value and worth in society that we play. An MMO has a place for a solo player, but what you have to do is give them avenues to be able to passively engage in the world and the content that players are creating without having to feel this obligation of engaging directly in that social aspect. Grouping should be encouraged but not required, and ways that a player can still interact with other people to progress without feeling the need to fully rely on them. Hey, can I get a sow? You know, EverQuest does that. It's Spirit of the Wolf, so you can move quickly through the world. That's a person passively interacting with another person without having to feel this obligation to create a connection or bond with that person, which is what's important there. I think that MMOs are fantastic for creating bonds and I think are necessary in the grand picture of why that game should stay alive in its longevity, but you don't make that a requirement for everything. That you leave this passive avenue for people to engage stuff. Like for crafting, a person wants stuff from crafters. Typically, those things, typically like in Star Wars Galaxy's case, are the best stuff you can get is through crafting. That doesn't mean that they have to join a crafting guild and invest in crafting, you know, and be in that community of crafters. They can passively now engage with the shops that people set up and buy that stuff that way. It's a way that they're not obligated to get involved in the crafting scene or join a guild to get access to that stuff. It's now a way for they can passively engage with that and help further improve or enrich those other players who do emphasize on crafting, so that they're buying stuff from those shops, those player-run shops. Those player-run shops are getting credits. They're getting XP, you know, for having that shop run up and stuff like this. Yeah. Oh no. Again, I don't. I want to stress also that I'm not trying to be combative by any stretch of the imagination. So I apologize if I'm coming off as such. I don't want you to think that that's the case at all. Let's see. And you'd know those quality crafters too, like Made by Crafta, etc. And they would build a reputation on their high quality weapons or whatever they did. I love that kind of thing. Oh, what's this thing exactly? Oh, yes. Oh my gosh. Very much so. There were people who took pride in that stuff. I had the second best rifle in the Star Wars Galaxy server I was on. Only the weaponsmith who made it had better. I killed so many Krayt Dragons for it. It's amazing, Sakura. I'd love when I'm browsing a city, find a cool vendor, and you see that they are actually filling their shop, and you start being with them or something. Same with that Spirit of the Wolf example. You might end up chatting, being good friends just from that simple interaction. Who knows? Exactly. But what's great about that, Whistlestick, is that you are in control of that as a player. You're in control of whether you want to create that bond or not. And it doesn't hinder your ability to progress, you know, on whether you choose to or not. And that's what's so important for solo people. And to keep solo people playing your game, engaging with your game, without obligating them to engage in all of the facets of your game. I never did play Journey. I hear that was an interesting relationship you developed with your co-player, even though you couldn't talk. Persnickety Sea Cow, you should also check out Book of Travels, which is an online multiplayer game that is an RPG. It's it considered itself a tiny multiplayer online RPG, and you have communication like you do in Journey, and it's very good. It's very good. Sakura might have a screenshot from the first crate they killed. And Sakura says, I like grouping with friends, not randos. I love grouping with randos. See, like, I'm a rando person. I love the randos. All these old games made me a buff maniac, always running around buffing players. When I see them, I notice as you play the newer ones, people don't even care or buff themselves, savages. That's Whistlestick, absolutely. So I was playing, a couple of years ago, I was playing a lot of Sea of Thieves, which is a very great game. And you should, by the way, person thinking to seek out, you should also play Journey. It's fantastic. You can beat it in a single sitting, and it's magical. And people are still playing it on PlayStation 3. You'll still come across players. That's how crazy that is. But no, playing a lot of Sea of Thieves, and always try to group up with randos because you don't know what you're gonna get. And what's fantastic is, I've said this time and time again, that a game that you have some level of control over the toxicity that you experience. It's tougher with certain types of games. Like, for instance, ones that are so overwhelmingly rampant. People always look at a game like Sea of Thieves and like, it's toxic. They're pirates. You know, there's people just wanting to kill you and take your stuff. It sucks. I have not found that to be the case. I sailed with a good friend, Lepilikos, who's a moderator on the stream as well, and they can attest as well that our experience was drastically different. Playing that thing for like a whole year. That was not our experience at all. Because what we did was, we would encourage this desire to let other people interact with us. People would hunt us down, and we would play with them. We would be silly, outrageous, do a lot of weird shenanigans, unpredictable things that kept those people on their toes. And they loved it. They may have sunk our ship. They may have taken our loot. But they were like, hey man, great job. That was awesome. Thank you. Have a good day. And we're like, normally you would expect a person who's trying to sink your boat to be an asshole. Everyone had a good time. And that's the way it should be when you do that sort of stuff. And so MMOs, they're so impersonal now. You don't need to rely on anybody. You don't need their buffs. You've got your own buffs. You're fine. And if I were to have to interact with anybody, they're just going to be some asshole. And it's like, if you assume that everyone's going to be an asshole, they're going to be an asshole. Because you're treating them like they are. And it's like, don't do that. Just don't. Just stop. No one's good. They don't have to be assholes. Now, that is not universal. I want to stress this. There are communities that are just rampantly toxic. And it's such ingrained in that environment that it's very difficult to break free from that stuff. Like the issues that League of Legends and the Blizzard game, that Overwatch, like that stuff was just becoming rampant, and you couldn't fight that stuff. But like, you look at games of similar genres, like Team Fortress 2, not nearly as toxic. Why is that? Start to think about these sorts of things. It's very interesting. Sorry, welcome. How may the Fenris Prime? I just have to say, in my short time here, you've won me over. Dude, you're far too kind, Wizzlestick. This is what I do. And you subbed. Oh my god. Thank you. I'm gonna get a dance going here soon. It's gonna pop up, hopefully. Where's my notification? There we go. Dancing. Thank you. This is what you get in all of the time. When I'm not. So, typically Monday, I play MMOs. It's MMO Mondays. MMO Mondays. We talk MMOs. And we play MMOs. Typically, private server stuff, vanilla things, old. Even maybe get into some muds soon. We're focusing on Earth and Beyond right now until we feel like, oh, we have gotten a good feel for this game. It's time to move on to another one. Then Wednesdays, right now, we are playing the Nintendo 64 WWF No Mercy. We're building our own wrestling league with custom wrestlers. There's cutscenes. It's a hoot. I'm super stoked about it. The Bogus Wrestling Federation. We're working on that as a foundation. Kuno, no, Kuno, that's too kind. Thank you. You're far too kind. Oh, Hype Train is close. Thank you, Twitch. We're doing that stuff. Fridays, Grab Bag. It's a single player game typically. Right now we're starting up Fable 2, seeing how that's going. And then Saturdays we play text-based adventure games with my good friend Nick. We're all over the place. It's a crazy spectrum. But what's most important, the tying theme of the stream in general, is talking games enthusing games. One of the major things that I think is so important, and I talked about this at the beginning of the stream, that I was really trying to make a major push for in the future of things. Yeah, Kuno, that is far too kind. You're too awesome. Legitimately. That's bandanas. The biggest thing that I push for this stream in general is listening to other people. It's not about what I have to say. I don't think that I am, you come here to listen to me. I'm the star. I don't do that nonsense. You came in here, Wizzlestick. You're like, hey, I haven't played this game in a long time. And I'm just like, what ones have you played? Like, what games do you like? Let's hear it. Because that's... sorry. I am going on an emotional roller coaster. I'm a stay-at-home dad full time. The cabin fever is real as of late. Let's take a second. So like, I have recently made a decision to really change a focus, work on a project that I think is really big on. What the fuck? Kuno, I'm gonna start crying. You're gonna hear that. Hold on, I'm gonna have to turn this down because you're gonna hear that song way too much. Jesus Christ. Dude. Kuno, I was literally going through a major self-esteem crisis. That is way... Oh my god. Hold on. I'm gonna start crying, dude. Kuno, you're really too kind, man. You do not have to be so kind. Chad is up to shenanigans. So a major project that I wanted to do was explore these MMOs, these old communities. And find a way to encourage people to see these games and engage with them. There are communities still here keeping these torches burned. They're keeping the signals going, right? And that's the most valuable thing in the world. The most valuable thing in the world. That these games would be lost without them. There are games that I loved dearly that are my white whales that we will never see again. Never see again. Online games that are lost to time. Truly lost to time. We will never see them. And it's so important to get to know these people, to get to know these games, because they are so distinctly unique. You can't just go to a used game store and buy Earth and Beyond and play it. You can't. And it's the most important thing to me, is to keep these memories alive and to get people to come in and to see this and to be like, what is this? I'm sorry, you're doing what in this game? And finding the magic in it and encourage them, and maybe, just maybe, encourage them to go in and play it, because there are folks in here who've been playing since the game first launched, and the moment these private servers came up, they were here. And like, I played on Monday, and there was a guy who's like, are you legit new? Like, it came up in their chat that I was new. And it was like, are you legit new, or are you a role player trying to get good gear? And I'm like, I'm legit new. I knew nothing of this game 4 weeks ago, and I just started playing, and I'm, level 30. And they're like, whoa. Like, let me help you out. And like, talking, giving tips, helping with gear, and like explaining some mechanics I didn't totally understand, and being really supportive, because for them, they haven't seen that, or that it's such a rare occurrence, and they're still here day in and day out. Yeah, the people who get these private servers up and running are amazing. Same like the City of Heroes servers. I was amazed to see how they kept these things alive. Oh, sure thing, Sakura. Yeah, 1 second. Let me get it for you. We're still hearing music playing. Kuno, seriously, I'm gonna. Oh, whoa, Sakura, this is your doing. Hold on, let me put this up on the stream. Bam. Whoa, there it is. Look at that. Look at that beauty. Second shot posted. Let's see. Timus Eidolon snores loudly at a crate dragon ancient displaying her boredom. I never said that. Oh, and look at how beautiful this is. Look at this. The dead crate dragon. Like, look how awesome this looks. Oh, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. This is Star Wars Galaxies, Kuno. It's fantastic. It's so nice of you, Kuno. Seriously. It's a huge fight at launch. That's so awesome. That's so freaking awesome. So yeah, sorry. I'm going on a tangent. I'm so emotional right now. Sakura, I wish I had shots too. I was so mad that I took a bunch of screenshots intentionally when I played EverQuest 2 and Matrix Online. And I put them on PhotoBucket at the time. It was on PhotoBucket. And then PhotoBucket, like, took them away and put them behind a paywall. I've gotten used to the song just being a permanent part of my life now. Exactly. Oh, Sakura, please. I want you, Sakura, one day when you have time to flood the Discord with stuff. Flood it with stuff. If you're from Vanguard and Vanilla WoW, yes! Vanguard's on the list to play. Vanguard is on the list to play. There's a Vanguard private server up that might be a wizard / crash / Xanadude is a big fan of, who comes in here from time to time. Oh, card game. Don't even talk. I didn't even know there was a card game. Sakura, is that one that you actually have to do something in the game world to like interact with, or was it just a menu to get to? I'm very curious. That makes it or breaks it for me. Oh, no way, Sakura. No. Games within games, when you do that, is just the best. Look, I went and going to play some old school Ultima Online and just going to a chessboard and playing chess or checkers. And then like that being a permanent fixed thing in the world. Oh, Sakura, that's so awesome. I gotta play Vanguard sometime. Whistlestick says, Matrix was really fun. I wish I'd spent more time in it before it closed. A few MMOs where that happened took them for granted at the time, thinking, oh, it'll always be there. Whistlestick, wow. So, like, I was a giant, my old school MMO at the time was Underlight. I played that so much. It's a weird game. I love it to death. I do, even though the community is, oh boy, I did not know about this. But Matrix Online, I was squatting at my other brother's place at that time. And he had a subscription to Matrix Online, and on the days I didn't work, I'd just play that. And I got to max level really quick. I had, on my server, I was a crew aligned with the machines. I had a crew, and we were in the big, like, a big guild. That game, so that, the major differentiation between Matrix Online and every other MMO was that it was like the first one to make GM events like the primary focus of that game. World events, GM story, GM interaction with players being just the main crux of the game. Star Wars. Oh, so Sakura says, in Star Wars Galaxies, we made a card game with various characters. It was a functional game, and me being me, I 3D rendered some. Dude, Sakura, that's amazing. And it was magical. They had a thing where you could tap into online radio stations, And so there's a fan run Radio Free Zion, which is still running to this day, I believe. But that was one where they would share information and stories and rumors and things that people had found and discovered in the game. And so people could listen to that while they played and like discuss that stuff. And secret meetings with GMs where they would give you goals and projects and things to work on and spy things. It was fantastic. I very much loved Matrix Online a lot. It was a very flawed game. It was very lacking in... So, like, you know how I said before in Star Wars Galaxies, there's not a lot of, like... You hunted to get materials, right? And to get XP. But that was kind of all you did there, right? Matrix Online didn't have a robust crafting system. It didn't have a defined... You had randomly generated quests. And they were all of one of 3 different types of things. There wasn't a lot of like story missions at all. And that was kind of its major thing, right? But it was all about GM involvements and big GM events, and they were all the time. And about like just social club stuff. It was really fun. It was really good. Oh, I will check it out on Discord. Yes, Sakura, sorry. I will look at it now. And Matawi, how's it going? Yeah, oh my goodness. Kuno and Oni being just the kindest person on the face of the planet. What? Okay, I'll pop this up. Look at this. Sakura making a card game with characters. Oh, wow. So this was like, this is like an in-joke kind of like Magic the Gathering. Not really Magic the Gathering, but you know what I mean. Like a comic card game thing, but using the characters from your guys in the game. Bad Santa. Evil. Ho, ho, ho. Onchi, wonchu, Chewbacca. Ho, ho, ho. That's amazing. Don't ask. I'm sorry. You may be here for gameplay, but let's try to get a little bit more gameplay in before we call it a night. He was a character. Oh yeah, I believe it. Both in-game character and out-of-game character. Welcome. How may the Fenris Prime Observatory Security Force help you? Do you have a security concern at this time? There's a bunch of scary things outside the station. Sorry, but that does not fall under our jurisdiction. We handle security concerns in the observatory, but outside you're on your own. We simply don't have the pilots and funding to police the outside areas. Hold on. Can I help you in any way? Not at this time, unfortunately. May have something you can help us with later. We'll contact you when that time arrives. You're the only person in the station. Okay. Let's get going. Let's actually play the game just a tiny bit. A tiny bit more. We gotta go to Tahine, which is that's a much quicker journey. I'm so sorry, Sakura. I am the worst co-op partner. Words. Oh, that 90s kids notebook with the yin yang symbols and gaudy colors. I'm glad you're having fun. This isn't abnormal, I know, but I am glad that you are enjoying your time. I always am very self-conscious on folks who decide to come play with me and then we end up really not playing much. I still feel bad. So I want you to have fun too. And if you're having fun just listening to me ramble on like a crazy person, then I'm glad. But yes, one reason I stayed in the first place, this is true, Sakura, this is true. And I'm glad to have had you. That's for sure. All right, let's form up. Go into Tahine. I'd been had. That's very true. Bundle of documents to be delivered to Lore Master Daikia. I wonder what's in the documents. But that's the beauty of these sorts of things, right? MMOs can be transformative. They can provide an experience so unique to the player. You know, so there's a person who is playing this game right now that is working on trying to provide the highest quality crafted items, trying to create a welcoming experience. A person trying to understand and unravel the lore. Somebody trying to document information for the wiki, right? Because that stuff isn't heavily documented. There are people who are each creating or getting something out of this MMO that is so distinctly different than other players. You go and you play a game like Mario, or you play a game like Overwatch, or you play a game like Dark Souls, right? And typically the things that you're trying to get out of it are universal, right? You want to beat the game. You want to overcome the challenge, typically. And there are so many other games out there, not just MMOs. There are some other ones out there as well that do something very different. I would say like a game like No Man's Sky, or a game like Harvest Moon, or Harvest Moon style games, or Animal Crossing. Like, they're getting something very different out of a game. There's a variety of avenues of entertainment and goals that you can set for yourself. But MMOs are almost universally this, right? And that's part of the magic of why you play these games, is because you get to experience a culture, a diverse culture of activities, of perspectives, and of play styles that can be sometimes so different than your own. And it's fun to explore those things. It's fun to explore them with people. Typically, if you ever want to know my playstyle, I typically am a role player. Oops, hold on. Stop. Are you joined in the formation or no? I don't think you are. Hold on. Break formation. Start formation. I like to roleplay a lot. I typically am one of those, but not always the case. I like to be very silly. My roleplay idea is not to be a hardcore. Oh. Okay, are we good, Sakura? Joint. Okay, good. My goal isn't to take that stuff very seriously. I'm very silly in that stuff because I want to make people have fun and kind of like lighten the mood, because people sometimes take these games incredibly seriously. I love Jinquai Explorer in this game, by the way. It was my main in live too. You get so speedy and the universe becomes your oyster. You will love it. That's exactly how I wanted to play. One of the main things that I typically pick when I play an MMO, especially when I'm streaming an MMO, is that I want to pick a class that's going to try to give me as much of the experience as possible. I thought the Jinquai Explorer, just by what I was seeing, was very much that. Like in EverQuest, I play Bard. I can be a little speedy. I can be a little stealthy. I get access to the masks that will get me access in original EverQuest to like the Dark Elves and like to places that I typically wouldn't have access to, and have songs and things that can affect my the other races, their perception of me, so that I can actually do stuff. Get me access to places you can't normally go to, so you get that full experience. I like doing that sort of thing. But Jinquai Explorer, I mean, I love to explore. That's the thing, you know. Like when I played original EverQuest, like on Project 1999, the highest level character I've ever had in EverQuest is level 16. Like, that's so low. But I spent so much time talking to NPCs, learning their stories, and getting really engaged in the world. That stuff just it engages me in such awesome ways. And what's so fantastic about this game is just that I get a captain's log. I mean, look at this. I've filled this bad boy up. You know, an in-character like discussion about my experiences in the game. How awesome is that? think that's super cool. Super cool. I love this game. Whee! Your captain's log is awesome. Mine is like a mix of shopping ingredients and just pinpoint locations of mobs and stuff. I mean, what I'll do is I'll turn this into whatchamacallit, and I will read the captain's log in all its entirety. Lord Master Daikia, I have papers for you. You. Me? Who sent you? The Progen. Consulate Ujeta. A cunning plot, but it will not work. You're here to assassinate me. Get out of here, you con artist. But I have documents for you. Not interested in taking part in your trap. But I must deliver them, or I cannot complete my mission. Oh, but they're really interesting and about Shinwa. That will not fly, Progen spy. Now, oh, man. Me? Okay. The Progen. Oh, that's much better. So you're a Progen assassin sent to kill me. No, I refuse to be killed. Security save me from this berserk Progen spy. Okay. Got documents, but I must deliver them. I will not accept these documents as you call them. In reality, I know they are either a bomb or some dangerous material meant to silence me. Your evil plot will not succeed. I'm reporting you to Genkai authorities. Okay, hold on. I'm just going to leave here. Wait, you're just going to leave? It seems awfully suspicious. Let's talk. What are you doing here? Well, it doesn't matter now. I'm leaving. You're obviously not interested. Do not leave yet. If you take that stance, you couldn't be trying to assassinate me. Yet, I will have my guards retrieve the documents and make sure they are not dangerous. These documents are interesting. You may have them back. How did you know I was interested in the history of the Shinwa? Liam O'Fowlane told me. This still seems fishy, but there is a way for you to prove you are not out to kill me. Prove your loyalty by finding me the first inspiration of Elias Ben Joseph. What is that? It's an old Genkai memento that was stolen by Progen dog soldiers during the Gate War. Us Shahadem have been unable to locate it since. Okay, I can find that easily. Not without my help. You can't. Some historians say that the Progen brought the artifact back to Endriago. However, I believe the Progen who stole it never made it out of Jupiter. So my only lead is to go examine near the ruins of Jove City. Find it, and I'll believe you are not out to kill me. Don't come back without it. That's the thing. Whizzlestick. So when I first started, we didn't really have much lore to go on. And then I traveled to Jupiter. And the whole point of that system is to hit you with lore. Where that's where the Genkai were first, their home, planet, their major base of operations. The Gate Wars happen. The Progen come in and annihilate everything. And now it's just, they just set it up as a museum to never forget what had happened. And it's just a graveyard museum. And it's fantastic to go through all these points of interest and to learn everything that was going on. All right. I'm going to read this for you guys, and then we have to call it a night. So this is the captain's log. We get a little silly at first. That's the beginning. February 7th. It has been wow. Is that when I started? Well, my journey begins with the end of my training as a Shabadudu. It's a Shahadem. Yeah. Yes, Sakura, thank you, by the way. I'm reticent in finding my own way amidst the endless expanse of space. What mysteries will I uncover? I've already found the psychic space jellyfish that is made entirely of energy. I wonder if we'll find anything even weirder. One can only wonder. Off to Capella. On Capella, we have found a contingent of space hermits recruiting many new members of the Shahadem. After eavesdropping on the local newsfeed, I intercepted transmissions from said space hermits. They're laying low in hopes of not attracting the attention of my order. I'll report my findings and see what is required of me next. I hope it is not more psychic space jellyfish. Those guys are weird. And that is saying a lot, considering I have 2 ladies tattooed on my face, and I have a Swiss roll mohawk. I do. I didn't remember the word. I didn't remember at the time. Captain's log, 228, 9:10 p.m. It appears that I found company in the vast expanse of space. 2 loyal members of my people eager to tackle the unknown with me. As we set out into new reaches of space in search of precious minerals, we were beset upon by vicious beasts that damaged our ship. After finding safety and refuge back in Perrin Station, I make the slow and steady progress back to the Daheen system to reunite with my comrades. We were getting this crystal. I've acquired the Tazon needed by my order. What purpose it serves in the cause is beyond me, but I'm curious to know its purposes. Maybe it's a test. Maybe it's a top-secret project. Maybe they just like the way it looks. Who knows? With my crew in a critical state, disbanding for repairs, I make the long and arduous trek alone back to Perrin Station to figure out what this is all about. At the best of our ship's cook, Earl, it's the Earl of Chesterwick in chat, I must give an update on the state of my co-pilot Bob, the space blobfish. His spirits are high, but I worry about his overall health. He may put on a good face, but I know he misses home. One day, we'll visit the oceanic depths of his homeworld and give him true peace. March 1st. It would seem that the purpose of the Tazeron crystals has been made clear by my contact. Apparently, research is being done about the various rifts in the cosmos that were caused by the ancient gates of old. Their purpose, how they function, and their origins are still a mystery, but we've been monitoring and analyzing excessive amounts of data to gain a better understanding of why the rifts opened and how they relate to interstellar travel from the time before us. I've now managed to manufacture a key that may give us access to the space beyond the rifts. For now, I rest. We'll try again soon. P.S. Co-pilot Bob is hesitant, but supportive of these endeavors. Captain's Log, March 6th. My adventures through space were purely investigative. I dedicated my time in the Kailasa system exploring. I was on my way from Perrin Station to the outer nav points that I noticed the decayed bones of an enormous space creature. As I approached, I noticed a lot of odd undulating creatures feasting on the entrails of this beast. When they noticed me, they immediately opened fire. Thankfully, with the weapons on board, they were no match for me. I spent my time cleaning up the refuse and selling it at the nearby station for a sizable sum. Bob was restless and anxious. March 7th. As I made my way through Jupiter, I was tasked by those in the station Jove's Fury to explore and discover the many monuments that litter the system, each detailing the history of our people and the horrors of war that befell them. I learned of the ships that helped our people escape, the city laid to ruins, and the leaders who wept as they were slaughtered. This place is a forlorn graveyard of lost hopes and dreams, but also in some way a garden of hope for a brighter tomorrow. We learn as we orbit the circle and better understand the path and how to influence its navigation. Part of me is eaten away by a thought, however, that we may not be as innocent as our leaders portray. What did we do to bring about this aggression? After learning the history of my people, I decided it was time to seek out an old hermit amidst the asteroid belts just outside of Saturn. It was rumored they held the knowledge of how to jury-rig a damaged ship back to life. When I arrived, he was awaiting me, eager for sentient contact and connection. He was an odd man, ranting and raving about love and searching for a special someone to keep him company. He did not ask for much to learn the ways of jump-starting a ship, only 3 romance novels. I sent a signal out into the universe for any word on the whereabouts of said novels. I was elated to hear a response so quickly and clearly. With a few wormholes, we were able to quickly acquire what was needed near Earth. The Terran station is stolid and cold. Typical. March 7th. I saw it. I didn't believe it would be possible, but I saw it. The Maelstrom. In all its horrifying glory, sprawled out before me. There was an incessant buzzing that spammed my sensors, like the sound of a hive of bees on the verge of striking. I don't entirely know what was there, but as I explored, I saw a mass of inexplicable creatures moving like a flock of birds. Did not stay long, and reported my findings. The result of this discovery will fuel our scientists for decades to come. We're starting to crack the code. Bob was not happy with this, but our cook Earl was delighted at the finding of the wings of maelstrom hounds that hovered outside. He promises a delectable treat after some time in the kitchen. I worry about my crew. March 14th. A stressful day of exploring and navigating the twisty little passages of interstellar travel. I was tasked by my contact, Ravenlock, to investigate a second maelstrom deep in Projan territory. The nearest warp gates leading to my destination were closed to me, because of my genetic predisposition. I had to manage a way to circumnavigate these blockades. What I discovered was numerous and added further to my confusion about the nature of our so-called enemies, the Projan. Using my cloaking technology, I was able to disappear from their sensors and penetrate deep into their space. It was there that I found something truly miraculous. They apparently keep on record a genetic record of all high-ranking Projan people and work diligently in resurrecting their fallen heroes to employ once more in their progress. While they retain the memories and emotions of their past selves, apparently they're not exactly the same. I saw them, I spoke with them, and I learned of the continuing prejudice the Projan have even for their own people. Things like the arts elude many of them, as they shun such frivolities for the more basic necessities of existence. It's strange to see such a people learning to walk amidst the stars. They're only now beginning to understand something other than war, and it is enlightening to me. I wonder what sorts of things they'll create and add to the cosmic culture we all share. We found it. After an extended time in space, we finally found the Maelstrom. The Projan guard it meticulously. It seems they're attempting to understand its origins and how to access its depths. My paranoia set in, guarding closely the key I held that gave me access to the Mazaroth Maelstrom here in Genquai space, for fear that they would weaponize the things they find inside it. As I approached their Maelstrom, I was in awe of just the buzzing activity that surrounded it. It was that same buzzing activity that targeted me and blocked my sensors. My ship had been hacked and left me drifting in space for some time until we could get repairs. When I reported back to Ravenlock, she gave me the tools needed to track down the source of the hackers and clear the way for further research. Instead of making the long travel back to Projan space, I was able to find Shahadem like myself that could create wormholes that shortened the trip dramatically. My poor brain was reeling at the idea that I could have done this all along. Regardless, what I learned in that journey was far more valuable than my time. Back at the Maelstrom, I was able to locate the hacker, put an end to them, and learn how to construct another key. I've yet to access what lies beneath, but I did make an unlikely friend, a Projan friend. They helped me navigate their space more succinctly and offered technology that rapidly sped my progress up. I would not have thought such charity and camaraderie from one such as them. They brutalized and slaughtered my people before, and now they act as if all is forgiven. It is a strange series of emotions I am feeling over this. March 16th. I made it. My work on the research and study of the Maelstroms has led to a promotion, an upgrade to my ship, and a task to further explore the Mazaroth Maelstrom here in our territory. With dear friend and wingman Saki, we set forth into the Maelstrom and discovered such horrific sights, hives and whispers amidst a sea of chaotic colors. It was unlike anything I've ever seen, a graveyard of wreckage being feasted upon by beings of pure energy. The bones of fleets mixed amidst some unusual hives that housed a frothing sea of insectoid life. We came across a queen, malnourished and far from her lair and engaged in combat. As our lasers dissipated the being of energy, I pondered exactly what this meant for the ancient technology we discovered and what purpose this place served for them. Fascinating. Here we go. The last bit. All right. As I slowly begin to drift off to sleep from a long day's hard day's work, exploring space, I look back at the adventures I've had. Caught up on the adventure now. Very cool. Yeah, this is how we do. The fact that this has an ability for me to actually write in this is fantastic. I love this very much. Like with the adventures I've had, of the people I've met, and the things that I've learned. Once my ship was commissioned, and my journey set out to the cosmos, I thought very little of what I would find. I knew next to nothing of our history, of our place in space, and of the denizens and of the fellow residents that we cohabitate with. It is remarkable that in just a little over 1 month's time, I've expanded my perspective dramatically. I can only imagine what new things I will learn from here on out. With my promotion came new responsibilities. M2. Cover a relic of Gen Quai people. Of my fellow Gen Quai. It's the ruins of Jove City. It will be difficult to face the ruins of the capital. But I must do so in order to learn, to grow, and to learn to grow. To further form the connective tissue between people and I. There. As I slowly begin to drift off to sleep from a hard day's work, exploring space, I look back at the adventures I've had, at the people I've met, and the things that I've learned. Once my ship was commissioned and my journey set out into the cosmos, I thought very little of what I would find. I knew next to nothing of our history, of our place in space, and of the fellow residents that we cohabitate with. It's remarkable that in just a little over 1 month's time, I've expanded my perspective dramatically. I can only imagine what new things I will learn from here on out. With my promotion come new responsibilities. I'm to recover a relic of my fellow Gen Quai amidst the ruins of Jove City. It'll be difficult to face the ruins of our capital, but I must do so in order to learn, to grow, and to further form the connective tissue between my people and I. Sounds good. All right. Let's go find somebody to raid. Let's not mention anything in the log about the jumpstart incident with Saki earlier. Exactly. No, that's all in the past. That's all in the past. All in the past. Let's go find somebody to raid. I will be back. Well, this weekend I might be taking this weekend off. Depends on how much I can get done project-wise with some other stuff. We'll see how it goes. Ooh. Let's go say hi to... Oh, there's so many people right now. So many people on right now. Who to raid? Let's just go raid Hash. Hash is playing some DOS games. I don't know what. We're gonna find out. Eating a snack box. Sounds delicious. Hash is playing Dune. Oh, okay, then there you go. Let's go raid Hash. OG Dune. Dune. OG Dune. Not Dune 2. There is an erotic flash game that accurately recreates the original Dune game. And it's also a porn game. But it is also a fully fledged recreation of Dune. Wild. Now, the more you know. All right, I'll be back. Maybe Friday. You can check the Discord. You can check. I'll keep you informed. Twitter, those places. You know, all the socials. All right, I'll see you guys then. I'll let you know what's going on. And as always, to humor. Bye. Thank you, everyone. You're far too kind. I'm gonna go home and just curl up into a ball and cry. That's what I do in life. Goodbye.